Today, we are in Monaco, at the legendary Grimaldi Forum, about to step into something truly special. This is Monaco and the Automobile, from 1893 to the present day, an exhibition that's only here for a short time, tracing over 130 years of history on these very streets. We're talking more than 50 legendary cars, from the very first automobile to ever drive through Monaco, all the way to modern Formula One machines. Years in the making, finally here this summer. If you love cars, you are in for an absolute treat. Let's go inside and see all of them. Let's start with a car that carried a princess. This is the Rolls-Royce Silver Wraith, bodied by Hooper, the British coach builder, with roots stretching back to 1805. On April 19, 1956, this very car paraded Prince Rainier III and his new bride, Grace Kelly, through the streets of Monaco after their wedding at the cathedral, a moment broadcast to millions around the world, and one we're actually marking the 70th anniversary of this year. Grace Kelly wore a gown designed by Helen Rose, ending her Hollywood career at just 27 to become Princess Grace. By the 1950s, four-door convertibles built for official parades like this were already becoming rare. Today, this one-of-a-kind car lives on in a private American collection. Now, let's wind the clock back even further. This is 1912, and the car in front of us is the Delahaye Obus, driven by Paul Frott to 7th overall, and first prize for elegance, no less. Fast forward 2 decades, and here's a Bugatti Type 46, bodied by Million Guyette. Behind the wheel, Willie Escher, 4th overall in the 1932 Monte-Carlo rally, and another elegance prize for the closed car category. Today, it belongs to the Schlumpf collection, housed at the Musée National de l'Automobile in Mulhouse, and by 1939, it's the Hopkirk 686 GS Cabriolet Riviera, taking centre stage. Jean Trevoux behind the wheel, Marcel Leclerc riding alongside as co-driver. The result? First place overall in the Monte-Carlo rally, a true outright winner now held in a private collection. It's worth remembering the Monte-Carlo rally began all the way back in 1911, and this exhibition brings together nearly 20 of its most legendary competitors, spanning decades of racing history. Let's keep going. Jump forward to 1964, and this is the Morris Mini Cooper S behind the wheel, Paddy Hopkirk, with Henry Liddon as his co-driver. Against all odds, this little car took first place overall, one of the most famous underdog victories in motorsport history. Today, it's preserved at the British Motor Industry Heritage Trust in Gaydon, Warwickshire. Not every story here is a victory though. This Triumph Spitfire, driven by Terry Hunter and Patrick Lyer, didn't even finish the 1965 rally, retiring along the way, a reminder of just how unforgiving Monte-Carlo can be. Back to winning form, 1972, and Sandro Munari and Mario Manucci took this Lancia Fulvia HF to outright victory. A year later, in 1973, Jean-Pierre Nicolas and Michel Vial brought this Alpine Renault A110 home in 3rd place, a French icon on home soil. By 1975, Hannu Mikkola was behind the wheel of this Fiat 124 Abarth rally with a young Jean Todt riding shotgun as co-driver. They finished 2nd overall, and yes, that's the very same Jean Todt who would later run Ferrari's Formula One team. Sticking with Fiat but jumping ahead to 1980, Walter Röhrl and Christian Geisdorfer drove this Fiat 131 Abarth straight to outright victory. Rewinding slightly to 1976, here's an Opel Commodore GSE Coupe. Agostino Turiani, known as Cina, with Jean-Claude Salles alongside him, finished 17th overall. Then in 1977, one of the true icons of the sport, the Lancia Stratos HF. Sandro Munari, back again, this time with Silvio Maiga, took it to first place overall. And right next to it sits a car that changed rallying forever, the Renault 5 Turbo, car number 9, driven by Jean Ragnotti, alongside co-driver Jean-Marc Andrier. This little yellow rocket won the 1981 Monte-Carlo rally outright, and it holds a very special place in rally history. It was the first turbo-powered car ever to win a World Rally Championship event, our first taste of the modern rally era. Not every legend has a happy ending though. This Talbot Sunbeam Lotus, driven by Guy Frechelem with Jean Todt, once again as co-driver, retired from the 1980 rally without reaching the finish. By 1985, it's the turbocharged era in full swing. Ari Vatanen and Terry Harriman stormed to victory in this Peugeot 205 Turbo 16, one of the most dominant rally cars ever built. And in 1990, Didier Auriol and Bernard Ochelli claimed first place overall in this Lancia Delta Integrale, a car that defined a generation of rallying. Moving into the modern era, 2003, and Sebastian Loeb, alongside his longtime co-driver Daniel Elena, took this Citroën Xsara WRC to first place overall, the beginning of one of the greatest winning streaks in rally history, and finally, bringing us right up to recent memory 2021. Sebastian Ogier and Julien Ingrassia claimed overall victory in this Toyota Yaris WRC, closing out our journey through more than a century of Monte-Carlo rally history. Now, we leave the rally stages behind and step into a different world entirely, Formula One. As the leading category in car racing, Formula One has always been more than a sport, it's a laboratory for innovation, with breakthroughs here often trickling down into the everyday cars we all drive, sometimes years later. The rules that first defined Formula One were outlined in 1946, then formally established in 1949, and the very next year the World Championship for Drivers was born, followed by the Constructors' title in 1958. Monaco has been part of both ever since. Formula One's history is really a story of technological revolution. Rear-mounted engines took over by the end of the 1950s, favouring agility over raw power. The 1960s brought a shift back to bigger engines, led by the legendary V8 Ford Cosworth, the very engine powering several of the single-seaters you'll see here, before facing competition from Matra and Ferrari's 12-cylinder machines. Then came aerodynamics, wings, ground effect, ever-evolving bodywork, followed by carbon fibre and electronics in the 1980s, changes just as transformative as the engine revolution before them. Every car in this next room is a chapter in that evolution. Let's start with the Cooper T51. Tony Brooks brought it home in fourth place at the Monaco Grand Prix. BRM P578-1, 1962, driven by Graham Hill to sixth place. Graham Hill and the Lotus 49B, a car that won Monaco not once but twice, back-to-back in 1968 and 1969. Under that slim, cigar-shaped body sits the Ford Cosworth DFV, the V8 that would go on to dominate Formula One for over a decade, powering it to more Grand Prix wins than any other engine in the sport's history. This is the car and the engine that defined an era. From the Cosworth-powered Lotus, we move to another team built around that same legendary V8, McLaren. This is the M14A, raced at Monaco across 2 seasons by 2 different drivers. Denny Hume in 1970, finishing 4th, and Peter Gethin in 1971, who retired from the race. It's a car built in the shadow of tragedy, designed the year after Bruce McLaren's death. And it was Denny Hume who carried the team forward through that difficult season, keeping McLaren competitive at the very front of the grid. Pegaso Z102B and Ferrari 225S Berlinetta, Grand Prix de Monaco, 1952. 2 beautiful cars here that never actually raced in the Grand Prix itself, but exciting to see nonetheless. First, the Pegaso Z102B, driven by Juan Jova, entered for 1952 but didn't qualify. Pegaso was a Spanish manufacturer, and seeing one of their cars here is a rare treat. Next to it, the Ferrari 225S Berlinetta, driven by Pierre Boncompagni, known as Pagnibon, 5th overall. This car carries real pedigree too, since the 225S chassis also competed at the Mille Miglia that same year, making it a true multidiscipline star of early 1950s racing. Talbot Lago T26C, Grand Prix de Monaco, 1948. Let's step back into the early post-war years. This is the Talbot Lago T26C, driven by Louis Rosier, though the day ended in retirement. Right beside it, a rival from Italy, the Cisitalia D46, driven by none other than Tazio Nuvolari, one of the greatest drivers of all time. He too failed to finish that day, but his presence alone tells you how serious this race already was. Now let's go back even further to the golden age of Grand Prix racing, 1929. This Bugatti 35C, driven by Marcel Lehoux, also retired from the race. But right next to it stands the car that actually won that year, a Bugatti 35B, driven by William Grover, known by his racing name Williams. First place overall, and this Bugatti still carries the honour of winning the very first Monaco Grand Prix. Also from that same legendary 1929 race, the Delage 15S8, driven by Raoul de Rovin, another retirement, a reminder of just how unforgiving early Grand Prix racing could be. And finally, jumping ahead to 1955, the Lancia D50, driven by Luigi Villarici to 5th place, in what counted for both the Monaco Grand Prix and the European Grand Prix that year. Gordini T16 Grand Prix d'Europe divided by Grand Prix de Monaco, 1955. Moving further along, this is the Gordini T16 driven by Robert Manzon, another retirement, but a Gordini nonetheless, a marque built entirely around French racing ambition in the post-war years. And right beside it, the Gordini TT2B from the following year, 1956, shared between two drivers, Elie Bayol, who started the race, and André Pillet, who took over from the 35th lap onward. Together, they brought it home in 4th place. Now let's jump back further still, to 1950. This Alfa Romeo 158, nicknamed the Alfetta, never actually raced. It served as the team's reserve car that year, a spare in case the primary cars ran into trouble. And finally, fast forward almost 3 decades to 1977, the Wolf WR1, driven by Jody Scheckter, who took this car to 1st place overall at the Monaco Grand Prix, a standout result for what was then still a young independent constructor. From Wolf, we move to the team every driver dreams of joining, Ferrari. And here, 2 beautiful examples a decade apart. First, the Ferrari 126 CK from the 1981 Monaco Grand Prix. Behind the wheel, Gilles Villeneuve, one of the most beloved drivers in the sport's history, known for his fearless all-or-nothing driving style. This particular result stands out too, 1st place, overall, at a circuit that punishes the smallest mistake. Villeneuve would tragically lose his life the following year, which makes wins like this one at Monaco all the more treasured by Ferrari fans. This car now lives at the Ferrari Museum in Maranello. Next to it, the Ferrari 640 from 1989, driven by Nigel Mansell. Unlike its neighbour, this one didn't finish the race, retiring from that year's Grand Prix. But the 640 itself was a landmark car for Ferrari. It introduced the first semi-automatic paddle shift gearbox in Formula One, a piece of technology that would eventually become standard across the entire sport. Today, it's part of the Prince of Monaco's own car collection. Benetton B192, Grand Prix de Monaco, 1992. From Ferrari Red, we move to Benetton's colours, and a driver who would go on to define an entire era. This is the Benetton B192, driven by a young Michael Schumacher, just his 2nd full season in Formula One. He finished 4th at Monaco that year, long before the 7 world titles, but already showing the raw pace that would soon make him the sport's biggest name. McLaren MP4-8, Grand Prix de Monaco 1993, and now, a car that needs no introduction, Ayrton Senna's McLaren MP4-8, this was 1993, and Senna took it to victory at Monaco, his 6th win at this very circuit, an achievement that still stands as the record for the most wins by any driver at a single Grand Prix. Senna simply owned these streets like no one before or since. Today, this car is preserved in the collection of Sebastian Vettel, one 4-time champion honouring another. Continuing from Senna's McLaren, this Jordan 193 sat right alongside it, Thierry Boutsen behind the wheel, though the race ended in retirement for him that day. Fast forward to 2006, and here's the Renault R26, driven by Fernando Alonso to 1st place overall, a car from the peak of Alonso's championship years with the team. Stepping back again to 1971, this Matra MS120B was driven by Jean-Pierre Beltoise, though it too failed to see the finish. The following year, in 1972, this McLaren M19A, driven by Brian Redman, brought home 3rd place, and from 1973, this Tyrrell 6, driven by François Sever, finished fourth, one of the promising talents of that era, racing for one of the most respected teams on the grid. And here's another Alonso chapter, this time in Ferrari red. The F150 Degrees Italia from 2011 saw Alonso finish second at Monaco during his first year with the team, right after leaving Renault. It came during Ferrari's push to end its championship drought, a period defined by Alonso's relentless consistency behind the wheel, even when the car wasn't always the fastest on the grid. This particular result was part of a run that kept Ferrari in title contention deep into that season, and it stands as one of the strongest showings of Alonso's Ferrari years at a circuit where precision matters more than raw power. Now we move into the modern hybrid era, and the car that arguably kicked off Mercedes' complete dominance of Formula One, the MGP W06 Hybrid from 2015. Nico Rosberg took it to victory here at Monaco, part of a season where Mercedes won 16 of 19 races. The most fascinating thing about this car isn't what's under the bodywork you can see, but what's hidden inside. Its hybrid power unit recovered energy so efficiently that it converted heat from the turbocharger into electric power, squeezing out more raw performance from less fuel than any Formula One engine before it. This W06 represents the technology that would go on to win Mercedes 8 consecutive Constructors' Championships. And to close out this haul, something completely different, the future of racing. This is the Spark Renault SRT01E from the very first season of Formula E, raced right here at the 2015 Monaco E-Prix. Nick Heidfeld finished 10th. No roaring V8s, no deafening exhaust notes, just pure electric power, silent but blisteringly fast. A glimpse of where motorsport is heading, and a striking contrast to everything we've just seen. Here's the Delahaye 135 MS Coupe. Bodied by Chaperon in 1947, bought brand new by none other than Louis Chiron, one of Monaco's greatest racing legends. And right beside it, the Oscar MT4 that Chiron himself drove in the 1954 Carrera Panamericana, finishing 8th overall, later reworked by the factory for the following year's Mille Miglia, with a new nose, stronger engine and gearbox for driver Giulio Cabianca. And here it is, the cherry on top of this entire exhibition. The Ferrari SF24, driven by Charles Leclerc to victory at the 2024 Monaco Grand Prix. This isn't just any win. Leclerc is a Monegasque driver, born and raised right here in these streets, and he took his home Grand Prix in a Ferrari, the team every kid on this coastline dreams of racing for. It's a piece of local history as much as motorsport history. But look at what this car represents next to everything else in this room. A hybrid power unit generating over 1,000 horsepower, active aerodynamics, computer-modelled suspension geometry, and enough onboard data processing to rival a small research lab. Over 130 years of engineering have led to this, sitting right here on these very streets of Monaco. And to close out this incredible journey, the exhibition brings together two vehicles that could not be more different and yet somehow tell the exact same story. This is the Panhard and Levasseur Type P2D from 1892, one of just 16 ever built, and remarkably, the oldest running automobile in the world still functioning today. It was a gift from René Panhard to his son Hippolyte, who drove it in the Paris-Nice race of 1893, extending the route all the way to Monaco. In fact, it was seen right here by the Grand Duke Michael of Russia, who was so taken with it that he ordered 3 for the Imperial Palace. And facing it, the Venturi Mona Luna, unveiled just last year by the Monegasque manufacturer Venturi, a company that has spent decades pushing the limits of electric performance. This isn't a car built for Monaco's streets though, it's a rover, designed to operate at the moon's south pole, built to endure temperatures swinging between -240 and +130 degrees Celsius, through nights lasting 14 Earth days, on unstable, abrasive lunar ground. 2 vehicles, over 130 years apart. One took its very first steps on the streets of Monaco. The other will soon take its first steps somewhere no car has ever been, the surface of the moon. And somehow they both belong to the same story, an unbroken thread of innovation, ambition, and the refusal to accept limits, running from Monaco's streets all the way to outer space. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of the automobile.